According to the scriptures, it is a fact that the reason why Yahweh Elohim is sending his wrath to the scattered nations of Israel is because they have rejected his Torah with the statutes and judgments. According to the scriptures, it is a fact that the reason why he is sending his wrath to the people is because they have rejected knowledge of him and there is no truth amongst them. These are just simple facts. And these are simple facts that almost all who have lived have rejected. Most of you have chosen to believe into man's religions in order to hide from his coming wrath because you have refused to believe into his righteousness. The problem is worshiping a make-believe image of our Creator and a make-believe image of his Son is not going to cause any of you to be delivered from his wrath. He created us to be made in his image. His image is his righteous character. It is his righteousness. If you have rejected believing into his righteousness, you have simply rejected why you were created. In Genesis 1, verses 26 and 27, he says, "And Elohim said, I will make man in my image after my likeness, and I will let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So Elohim created man to be in his image. In the image of Elohim, he created him to be. I spoke about how this is mistranslated and gave the proof of how it was mistranslated by the King James and such in other videos. One of the videos was created to be in his image that shows that this is how these verses should have been translated. If you have chosen to be made into some other image, you have simply rejected his programming and the reason why he created you. He gave us his word in order to program his righteousness in us, and he sent his Son to bear witness to his word. We are here in the flesh to become as he is, just like his Son became as he is. He gave us this temporal life in the flesh to test those who would become his and to prove them and to mold them into his image. He gave us a basic programming and a desire to live, and he gave us proof in his creation that he exists. He gave us proof in his creation through creating both good and evil so that we could know his righteousness and choose it. And he called out those who would believe into his righteousness to become his family. He gave us free will because we had to choose his righteousness. We had to not only believe into his righteousness, we also had to desire it to become ours. I've referred to this desire as the electricity that runs the programming process. This desire is the key of David that keeps us on the path that leads to the gates of heaven. Yeshua said that he is the path, and he is the truth, and he is the life. And he said, of course, that his Father's word is the truth, all symbolic. He was made to be his Father's word, and he now bears the name of the word of Elohim. He instructed us to follow him. If we are to follow him, we have to desire who he is. We have to be following the right Messiah. We can't be following a make-believe image of him. He desired his Father's righteousness to such a point that he became at one with him and at one with his righteousness. He became his Father's righteousness. This is the image of who we must follow. He and his Father are in total agreement and one with one another. And we are commanded to become at one or in total agreement with them as well. In John 17:11, he said, "Father, keep them in your name," and his name is his righteousness. He said to keep those who would become his in his name in order for them to become one with him as he is one with him. He went on to expand on this a few verses later in verses 21 through 23. He said, that they all may be one as you, Father, are in me and I am in you, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me, that the glory which you gave to me I have given to them, that they may be one, even as we are one, I in them and you in me, that they may be made perfect in one, that the world may know that you have sent me, and that you have loved them as you have loved me. Yeshua commanded us to become perfect in the same manner that his Father in heaven is perfect. His parables taught that we are perfected by living his Father's word. He told us that our first priority needs to be to seek his Father's righteousness and to seek his kingdom. He taught that This is accomplished by following after him, and he obeyed and lived his Father's word perfectly. He taught that we cannot even receive his Father's seven spirits to guide us into all truth unless we are obeying his commandments. These teachings are denied or ignored by most of you. You have no place what he taught. There's no place for what he taught in your hearts, because your hearts are stiff-necked and rebellious, and you don't want to obey your Creator. Yeshua's teachings described a process that we must go through in order to have our hearts and minds transformed into our Creator's image. And his teachings are in agreement with the writings of the prophets that he bore witness to. If you have not believed into his Father's righteousness, that is his image, and if you have not desired for it to become your righteousness, you simply have chosen to go your own way, and you have rejected the reason why you were created. The self-existing Creator does not owe any of us anything, yet he offered those who would come to his call everything. And it starts with believing into his righteousness and desiring it for it to become ours. We must desire to become perfect in the same manner that our Creator who is in heaven is perfect. His perfect righteousness equates to perfect love and perfect harmony, and this is all that will exist with him for eternity. Nothing else will. That which opposes his righteousness will not be allowed into his family for eternity. This is because that which opposes it breaks down perfect love, and it disrupts harmony. It divides. Yeshua's blood is applied on our behalf to cleanse us when we enter into the covenant with his Father to become as he is. It's conditional. And this is what repentance is. It is agreeing to change our thoughts to be made to be in agreement with our Elohiym's thoughts. It is agreeing to turn from our ways and to let his ways become our ways and his thoughts to become our thoughts. Read about this in Isaiah, where he said his word will not return to him void until it accomplishes that which he's purposed. And it has. It will continue for those who will live into the millennium if they'll turn to his word to live it, and it'll accomplish that in them. And our thoughts can become his thoughts, and our ways can become his ways through his classroom, through his instructions, guided by his seven spirits. If you have believed into something else, your beliefs have been in vain. He has sent me to cry out for you to repent and to turn to his ways, and he will deliver you through the coming time of affliction. The choice is yours to make. If you choose to continue in your own righteousness apart from his righteousness, he will purge you out in the coming days. But if you choose to believe into his righteousness and agree to become it and desire it and agree to the terms of his covenant to walk in his ways in order to lead you into his righteousness, then he will deliver you. Yeshua said that it is the truth that will deliver us, and he said that his Father's word that he became is the truth. He was sent to bear witness to his Father's word, and he did. His word is the writings of Moses and the prophets. He certainly did not bear witness to the writings of Saul of Tarsus, who would come later, or his followers Luke and Mark. His teachings testified against them. He warned us about them. He described that the wolves in sheep's clothing would be those whose teachings would bring forth lawlessness. He gave us starch warnings about what Saul would come onto the scene. And there's prophecies throughout the Old Testament that prophesied that Saul would come to and stand with that which is given to set us apart. And I spoke about that and all the proof of this in others of the videos. Have you been following our Messiah, who bears the name, the word of Elohiym? Or have you been following wolves dressed up like sheep? Isaiah 5:16, Yehweh of hosts will be exalted in judgment. Elohiym, who is holy, will set apart righteousness. Yeshua said that in the last days, all will be judged by his Father's word. His word testifies to his righteousness. It teaches it to us. His word will be exalted in the coming judgment. The question for you is, will you stand with his word that teaches us his righteousness and be set apart by him because you're standing with him? Or will you be found standing in opposition to his word and in opposition to his righteousness, standing with the abomination of desolation, Saul of Tarsus, or standing with some other wolf that's dressed in sheep's clothing? Like I said, the choice is yours to make. Choose life. Yeshua said that he is the life and he is his Father's word. Tied in all of them together in that verse when he said that he is the path and he is the truth and he is the life. And he said the truth is his Father's word. It really is this simple. I started off this video saying, according to the scriptures, it is a fact that the reason why Yahweh Elohim is sending his wrath to the scattered nations of Israel is because they have rejected his Torah with his statutes and judgments. According to the scriptures, it is a fact that the reason why he is sending his wrath to the people is because they have rejected knowledge of him and there is no truth amongst them. These are just simple facts. If you want to deny these facts, this is your choice to do so. If you want to deny that he gave us his Torah with the statutes and judgments to teach us his righteousness, this is your choice to do so as well. If you do not want to believe into his righteousness, and if you do not want it to become your righteousness, this is your choice to do so. Prepare to be introduced to his judgment. Yeshua said that all who do not believe into his name will be condemned, and his name is his Father's word. This is recorded in John 3:18. All of you want to make your bedrock on John 3:16, but you don't want to read 2 verses later. If you do not want to believe into his word that teaches us his righteousness, this is your choice. You are about ready to learn that he is Yahweh Elohim. His righteousness will be exalted in judgment, and the judge is his word. This is the same word that his son became, and he told us to follow.